Dear Lord, thank you for this day, and thank you for allowing us to be here today and getting here safely. We ask that you watch over all of us as we do the work of the people, and we ask that you also watch over us as we travel away from here. We know, Lord, that you always have us in your hands, and we trust and love you, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We have an agenda. Recognition of the public. I see none. We'll move forward. I'd like to have a motion to approval of the minutes.
I was not here that.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
No.
Any opposed? One abstention from Ms. Janelle. Report the chairman. I have no items to report on. I may comment as we go through the other items, but nothing specific. Report from our finance director.
Financials are included in that.
Does anyone have any questions on the financial numbers coming from our insurance trust fund accounts this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to reports from the consultants. One, you get the floor first.
Okay, well, just want to introduce myself really quick, I'm so sorry.
Excellent.
My name is Leah Patel, I'm one of the VPs of Operations at Learning, so it's very nice to meet all of you guys. And then I have Hannah Johnson here with me, and then Lizzie as well. And so we just kind of want to talk about some of our wellness numbers. I know we also need to talk about our contract, which we did send over to finance, and we did, I'm so sorry. And so we start with the contract, if that's okay with
I would
everybody.
like to, yes, please. Can you tell me, can I just ask you a couple of questions, or maybe you're going to cover them? If you'd like, if you have something you
No, go ahead, that's fine.
Can you remind me on when the contract expires?
The end of the year is the 31st.
December 31st. And then, I know that, and I know that you're new, and thank you for introducing yourself to us, but yes, we have had the contract for a while, and I have asked, legal a while back to compare it to the school's contract. And I still haven't received a comparison. Is it possible that one-to-one has a comparison of the difference between our county and our school? We both entities being the county. I'd just like to know the variance between those two contracts, and I haven't received that from legal or finance or from anyone. Is that somewhere?
I can definitely see if I can get a hold of that. My understanding is the only difference is just trying to align the two contracts with the date. Outside of that, I believe everything else should be exactly the same, but we can get a copy.
When I look at them, and I'm not doing anything, but one of them is like, and don't hold me exactly, but one of them is like 15 pages long, and the other one is like 25 pages long. So I assume there is some difference somehow.
Okay, yeah.
And one must be better than the other, always.
Okay.
And I want them to be the best of both worlds.
Okay, yeah, let me see if I can get a hold of that contract too. Is that something I can send to you directly?
Yes, and I'll put it, if it's okay with the committee, I'll put it in our next meeting. But we will have to take immediate action.
When she sends it, if you ask, can you send it out to us?
Immediately.
Review it instead of waiting.
Yes, it has been in our packages, both contracts have been. And not in today's package, but in the last few months, it has been in there, and it has been an item that I've spoken to our law director about a few times. Thank you for that. And sorry to interrupt you, but since you were on the contract.
No, that's perfect.
Excellent. Anyone else about the contract?
Is it similar to the contract we had in the past, and there's no other changes, or?
The amendment that I think
we had sent out was just that it would be a 3-year term. There's still a way to, break the contract, either party. There's a place where we can do that, but right now it's year to year, so it just renews every year. And so we were proposing to align with DOE is that it would kind of be a 3-year term, like we wouldn't need a new agreement every single January 1 for the key side. It'd be like extending. That was really the only difference in the message that was sent. But as far as a 15-page contract versus a 25-page contract, I have looked between those two differences. So we can look at that.
And maybe I'm off, it's been a couple months since I looked at it. And then if I can make a motion to request for legal to send us their latest approved copy. I'll make a motion, if I can do a second. All in favor of that? Any opposed? No. So as soon as legal could send us the approved copy of the contract, that would be great.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, sir.
what is the reason for 3 years instead of 1? I think sometimes when we have longer contract periods, one side or the other tends to get more comfortable with things. I would prefer a shorter period so we could look at it annually.
I agree with Commissioner Hyde.
Yeah, I think it would be a double-edged sword. I mean, we look at prices going up, and that would be good, stabilizing those prices, but then whenever the 3 years is up, just like we had with our property taxes, that's going to be a big problem because the property values are skyrocketed. We did lower the property tax, but still, we ended up with a zero revenue gain as far as that goes, but it's a double-edged sword.
And I would agree with all of your points, and I would toss in that I've spoken to some counties that went, I think our clinic model seems to be working well financially, but I haven't dug into the numbers, and hopefully, finance can in the future find enough resources too. But some counties have moved from providing the clinic model to sending their employees to a walk-in without in the box, if you will, and dissolve their clinics. A couple of counties have done that. So if we locked into a 3-year, we'd be locked in and not able to make that decision.
Well, I think the clinics do a good job because
I agree.
no. I mean, I'm just saying that. I think they do a really good job. But I do think that what Mr. Hyde and Mr. Brown are saying, and you as well, Mr. Wood, is that we tend to, we have to, because everything is so uncertain all the time, especially with insurances and things that are happening now. And I know that we're self-insured. However, that doesn't negate the fact that the citizens are the ones that pay the bills. So I'm not in favor of dissolving clinics. I think they do a wonderful job. It's kind of like beating a horse so that it's dead. I don't like that idea, but I do think that we have to be proactive. And if we're 3 years down the road, proactively, that's not proactive. That's just, we become reactive. And I'm not for a 3-year contract.
I would make a motion that we request that they present us with a 1-year contract.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Is that something that y'all can decide today or you'll get back to us?
We'll get back to you on that. And I think we'll just draft it. This is the 4th amendment that had that in there, so we would just need to take that out and draft it.
Mayor?
Yeah, I'm having difficulty hearing back here. What was the motion for?
The item on the floor in discussion was the new amendment. Currently, we've been running year to year on this contract, and they're proposing a 3-year contract. And the board just voted that we would like them to present without the 3-year option so that we can continue to run on year to year.
in order to maintain flexibility in cost or where we want to go.
Thank you.
We are up against, unfortunately, as these things seem to happen here in insurance, we are up against the expiration of this contract on December 31st. One item I would interject that we're going to have to discuss today is our next meeting date. But its potential with them coming back to us that we may even need 2 meeting dates between now and December 31st. One, to see what they offer, and then if we wanted to make any changes. So if you could, we'll put that at the end of the meeting, but please be aware that we'll need to discuss that. Thank you for opening us up with the contract issue. So what do you have to report for us, good from Gwendolyn?
I know you have in front of you some of the statistics from year to date through the third quarter. Some of these numbers have been, this format has kind of been presented before, so it's there for you to kind of see what the clinic visits have been by month with the facility, so you can see your different clinics listed there and the government visits that have taken place. We've got patient satisfaction survey scores offered there, and then text care. So text care encounters being different from your clinic visits. Clinic happens in person by your providers at your facilities versus text care. It's listed out by month, and that's your members texting in to text with a provider. So that's listed by month through the end of September. You can see the text care is broken out by employees and dependents for every month, and then total.
Question, how do you figure your utilization?
Oh, on the next graph.
Yeah, utilization, how do you figure that?
We have a formula using what our providers' availability is, so how many hours that our providers are available, and then how many hours are done spent on patient care, facing patient care. We usually like to see utilization around 80%, because then that gives 20% of admin time, so charting for changing over codes. You can see we've got some months, the beginning of the year, looks like it's heavier. June was a lighter month. I guess everybody was out enjoying themselves. The sunshine keeping everybody well.
Regarding the text encounters, so when you call that a text care encounter, is that, so I'm Mary patient, I text my person at the clinic on the phone, or is this a telehealth?
This is telehealth. So we have a broader network of, it's one-to-one employees, and we do like our text care line. And so MAs usually start, medical assistants usually start the conversation and make sure they have everything that they would need, and then escalate it to a provider.
So it's telehealth?
It's more of a telehealth, yeah. Texting is how it starts, and then they can escalate it to a video call, or sometimes we refer them back to the clinic. They need to be seen.
Thank you.
Do they have to meet every one of those, or?
If they miss one, they have to talk to a health coach twice. If they need them all, they don't have to talk to a health coach, and they're complete with the wellness option. And then for government employees, if they do test positive for nicotine, they have to test negative, so they, in addition to talking to a health coach. And then you can see the wellness numbers up to date. So the physicals were due the end of September, and you have 783 people that participated, whether they went to a clinic, went to their primary care provider and provided a physical, or they did our on-site biometric screening events in this room. And we're working towards getting those people compliant, which is due March 22nd.
dependents also do wellness exam?
No,
No, so they can smoke if they
Spouses.
want to.
yeah,
So,
we don't test for dependents.
There's a statistical reason for that, and that's because those people will be on the plan until they're 26 years old and they will fall off. So the drive to preventive care and really trying to hone in on that is on the people who will affect the plan the most. That's the reason. Let me see, oh. Thank you. I can at least tell you the census numbers that I get. So we have, but it doesn't break it out, who's an employee versus spouse. But I get, so for October, you had 683 county on the health plan and 54 highway. There are 15 county retirees on the plan, and then 1 highway retiree on the plan. And there was 2 total people that were in COBRA at that time. So I don't know the difference between employees and spouses and dependents and so forth, but that's the employees you count.
So they have a certain amount of time to have all this finished, right? And so that is when?
The deadline for the coaching ends, March 27th of 2026, and then I will pull a report in April that will get to Amy of who did everything they were supposed to do and who didn't.
And then at that point, it goes to did it and then it affects.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have another item that's coming up that is specifically on this. It's going to be in the new business ag. Now, I don't want to muddle the water up right now by underneath. You're reporting more than I have, but you're going to want to come back to this when we get to it.
One other question. The rabies vaccination, is this something that has to be done every year? How long is vaccine last?
And Mr. Brown, you want to, we're going to cover it down in new business B, but if y'all would like, I am fully flexible and we can cover it right now. And we can let these ladies go if we did. If y'all would, I'm open to a vote on covering all one-to-one items at this time, and we'll open up the floor.
I would make a motion to do that.
Okay. And I guess second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Let's go to Mr. Brown's item down under new business, item B. We have the rabies vaccine. Amy, if you could kick us off on what the item is.
The sheriff's department has requested rabies vaccines for their animal control employees. They're asking for 4 currently, and then any new hires that they may pick up. And they're wanting to see if we can approve for 1-to-1 to carry that vaccine for them.
And do you have an option other than Gary? Can we order the vaccine?
That's how the health department does it, so I'm assuming we should be able to order on demand. So that was my understanding.
It's not a vaccine you keep in stock, so you would have to order it on the stack,
Are they asking us to keep it in stock or to order on demand?
I don't know, I didn't notice the specification in the email I was forwarded, just that they're wanting it for their employees.
I would think it'd be on demand.
How many, there it goes to how long is this thing lasts?
I think high-risk job, it's recommended like every 3 years.
I'd like to, if I may, make a motion for the rabies vaccine, that we approve for the 4 animal control specialists to receive that, but we require them to make an appointment in order to get it ordered on demand since it has an expiration line. And we approve it for, it's good for 3 years or new employees. But also, if they don't get in time, if they make the appointment, and I'm not quite sure how we can do this, but if they make the appointment, if I come in and I make the appointment, and you order me the vaccine, and I have to come in and get it, and it expires, I don't wanna keep ordering it. I don't know if that's a problem, or I just wanna make sure that because it is an expensive shot, between $400 and $500. So I wanna make sure that we use it, if that makes sense.
Well, they're asking for the employees to have it ordered that are current, is what I'm hearing you say. You got 4 that need it, and then if a new employee is hired, they would like them to have it. So that would be a new hire, understanding, and that would be part of their health thing that they do for hire, you know, you have to test it and all that stuff. So vaccines always have risks. So I would say that I understand what you're saying because they will expire, but if you're a current employee and the sheriff's requiring you to have it, I would make sure before you order it, those employees
Yes.
do not have underlying issues that will cause an adverse reaction to it. So there's that. They would have to come in for an evaluation through, I guess, through this clinic and be evaluated as to whether or not they can even receive it. Because rabies vaccines are, yeah, I had one years ago. So they have a lot of risk.
And I don't wanna discuss the risk and stuff, because we're not into their medical thing.
No, I know that.
But if we set up a procedure, then you're saying that if they want it, they need to go in and have a consultation,
Right.
and then let us know, we could now approve them for after we could make it, approve them after a consultation, and they want it, and they have to get it, and then one to order it, and they take it and they expire it in the window. Is there a way to do that? So it doesn't expire?
I think we can wait to order it until after they're evaluated.
That's what we'd like.
Okay, yeah, and really, obviously at a high cost of doing our due diligence to avoid any.
And without it, just on demand. We don't want you to have it in the refrigerator just waiting for the new employee to be hired.
Right. Yes, I think we can get a process in place to avoid delays.
I'll second your motion to that caveat.
We're clear with what we'd like. And we're good with y'all. And everybody's good.
It is still, you still
Okay.
didn't do that.
The other one got it. Okay, so just a little bit of
I
housekeeping.
was looking up rabies vaccine. What?
That's okay, I'm gonna fix her up. She would like us to take a vote on, I made the motion that they will go in for, an evaluation. We will approve the animal control, specialist to go in for an evaluation. One will order the shots if needed, and they will take them in the period, and without them being on the shelf, just waiting for them. I made the motion, Mr. Hyde made the second, and if that, is it clear now? Okay, and if I could call, all in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes. Now, through her due diligence, Jessica over here, says that we didn't take a final vote on the last motion.
You didn't do it on either motion, but,
We just did this one.
no, but
Which
there was
one
two
would you
motions
like?
made under the one-to-one report. The first one was for, Steve to bring for the send to all the approved contracts.
So we made the motion and second for legal to send us the current approved reviewed contract, but, we didn't record the vote. All in favor? I thought we did, but we're gonna do it again. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We're just cleaning it up. And the next one we're going.
Was for Commissioner Hyde for a one-year contract.
Yes, that was, again, we just for the notes need to let our note taker hear us.
I second that.
Yeah.
Yes, and all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. No, thank you for tidying us up. One-to-one, is that, all the stats that you have to report? Is that a couple of questions?
Yes, and I'm gonna go through all of them, but yeah, your behavioral health year-to-date visits are pointed out there as well as your X-ray year-to-date visits, the wellness numbers,
non-school county employees. But it's good to hear that you can send them back. One of the asks that I have made through Amy is for Hal at the health department to look at what his cost is and what our cost is at one-to-one. And let's see if there's a variance, because one may be quite a bit better than the other, and we should just take a look at it. But that would be, if I understand our benefits people, that would be somewhere around March that we'll need to make the decision for next year's flu.
I'll make a motion to get a report from the health department and compare the numbers.
I'll second that we would like to request for the health department to send us their cost and analyze, for the health department director to get the cost from one-to-one, compare it to his cost, and let this board know what that looks like. By our January meeting, we'd like to look at that.
For the yearly flu vaccine, the cost is nothing, because the state does it, and we can piggyback off the state.
Excellent. Is it nothing for the health department and nothing for one-to-one?
It's nothing for the health department. If we piggyback off of their one-day a year flu vaccine clinic, it wouldn't cost me. We would still need to purchase vaccines in our one-to-one clinics, but we wouldn't have to purchase nearly as many.
How much is the flu shot for one-to-one?
I want to say it's around the $12 mark, but I have to double check to make sure. It's just a direct pass through what we get it.
Yeah.
We pass through. So I will get that cost.
And just send it to our health department director, Mr. Hendricks. Yes, can y'all connect them? And just let us know how it looks.
Yeah.
I have a question. On your behavioral health visits, you have 584. Are you seeing it trending up, trending down?
I will have to look at, that's actually, it will have to compare year over year.
We're trying to get back to if there's any trends going on or any issues out there that may be causing some issues mentally with choices.
That's all right. Point of order. We have your motion, and I second it. All in favor of asking the health department to give us a review of that cost, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. All right. We still have a couple of other items for one-to-one. This has been, but if you have any other about the statistics right now, before we go to the
Chairman,
Yes.
I've just been here contemplating the fact that we've been operating the animal control center out there for some time. And I guess would just make an assumption that we would protect the employees from rabies. But that evidently has not been the case, because one event, serious event, would far exceed what those rabies shots are. And I just assumed we were doing that. But I would like to request that our risk person do an evaluation of any possible risk that we have out there and bring back to us in a month or two. Any other thing like this, because, I really feel like that preventing something like this, even though it may cost a little money in vaccines or whatever we need to do, if we can take care of it now and not have it be a crisis later, financial, it's better. So I'd like to make a motion that we request her, maybe in 60 days, to come back with a report on anything else that she sees out there as a risk for us.
Animal control.
For anything in the county.
I will second that, but, and all in favor, aye. That we would like to piggyback, actually, we're making the same motion we made 3 months ago when we asked to begin a risk mitigation plan. I believe that's what you're reflecting on yet again. And we made this motion 3 months ago, and we were going to start hearing about that hopefully today. that was what we'd asked 3 months ago in a different manner, was to start working on a risk mitigation plan for the county, and I believe that's what you articulated.
Yes,
Yeah.
except I guess I'm being a
And
little
we
bit
did
more
all of it
specific.
on the-
Just animal control, just.
No,
Anything
countywide.
in the county.
We would like to have a risk mitigation where we can start identifying these items if possible. I believe the rabies vaccine may be some new technology.
No, it's not.
It's been around.
I had it when I was 17, so I didn't know how
Another item for the stats that I don't see on here, recently, the diet, medication plan was put into, the benefit plan, but I don't see the numbers on there.
So currently we have one employee enrolled in the weight loss program.
One non-school county employee. How many school employees do you have?
Let's say probably close to 15,000 to 60,000.
Right. Anybody else that wants to talk about stats, because we need to go back to the HRA. I don't know if that's a law.
Yeah.
Very, very lost around it.
That's all right. You probably came from my house.
Well, hold on.
Breathe.
Don't hit her with the call.
Sorry.
Whoa, good job, you're giving up your shoulder. Right there.
Under 10 counts.
Good work.
I did nothing else here.
All right.
I do it all the time now, I realize the blood's flying around in there. No, that's good, that's good.
So, if we may, back to work, the HRA item, because one of the one is here, we might have some input from Amy, and that we did step into that a little bit. If we could take on that issue while we're talking about the biometrics, the benchmarks, and the timing, that would probably be a good time to be able to circle back. So, Amy, if you could also, you want me to? Do you wanna kick that item off, or I can?
Yeah, it doesn't matter, I can. We have had a couple employees that have requested waivers for our HRA. So our HRA is our health risk assessment that we do every year. It's required and has been for many years. They have from July 1st to the end of September to complete a physical or do one of our HRA events that we hold in August. And then they have until the end of March to become complete. These dates haven't changed. They're explained during their new hire orientation. There's information listed in our EOC and on our website. But we have a couple employees who have missed those deadlines and have asked for exceptions to still be able to complete those for various different reasons. A couple are employees that have been with us for a while. One is a new hire. She's only been with us since February. And her explanation was that she didn't receive her email reminder from her department head. So that one I kind of get. She was told during new hire orientation, but I give them a lot of information at that time, so she very well may have forgotten or didn't remember the dates. The others, this is a yearly thing. The dates haven't changed, but they have requested exceptions as well.
So, okay. As a provider, your notes here, sorry. I could see the other, for the person that's new, like you said, you bombard them with a lot of information. That's one thing, responsibility is always a big deal when it comes to health and your benefits and things like that. I get it. The others know, because they know that it's required and those dates are there, and if you don't follow through. I remember when I worked for HCA, they had a time frame that you did all the biometrics, you did your work. And if you didn't get it and you didn't do it, then you had higher rates. I mean, that was just bottom line. It was called responsibility. So I personally, my opinion I would give a variance to the one new employee because she's new, she didn't get it. She says she didn't get it, I'm not gonna call her, whatever. But the others, I would say, no, I don't think I would do that because they know they have this piece that they have to do every year in order to maintain the grade. So I'm not in favor of giving a variance for that because once you start variancing everybody, you're gonna have more people everywhere.
It'll open the floodgates.
And
I know when I had my two oldest teenage children, both get 3 totals on their cars. USAA kicked us off of them and put us on progressive, which is a higher rate. And after time, we went back to USAA at a lower rate. That's just a penalty that we have to pay because of their negligence.
Do you have a motion?
I have a motion to, give a variance to the one employee that's new. And that's it.
Can I just interject one question? Do we feel like everyone knew? Everyone knew. And,
Even the new employee.
but we're giving them an exception because they're not.
Let me back.
She was originally told when she was hired, yes. However, she did not receive any of my reminder emails that I sent out to all departments.
Is there a flaw somewhere where she would not have gotten that, or maybe just the type of job she does, she doesn't look at emails all the time?
No, because of the department that she's in, I don't have access to all of the emails, so I send it to the department head, and we have quite a few that are that way. And that department head sends them out to their employees. She was a new hire and was left off that email.
So that
By
whole
mistake.
group, she was left off the group.
Correct.
And we're gonna discuss that right after this vote.
Yep.
So I have a motion.
Do we have a problem legally with giving an exception to one and not these others that are long-term employees?
Mr.
Well,
Assistant.
I would think that, you have that, I think you have that legitimate reason. And if someone's been here for years and they missed it, that's not really something that's, they know the process, they know it happens every year, versus someone who's brand new, who may not know the process. I feel more comfortable granting it to someone personally if it was a brand new person versus people who already know the process and how it works and have been here on our plan for years.
However, our knowledge is that she received some information in regards to this.
Ultimately, that's going to be up to you guys whether you think that's a legitimate reason or not. I'm just giving you how I would handle it if it were me. If it were a new employee, my concern would be is they're not familiar with our processes and how we do things. I'd be more apt to give leniency in that respect.
And if I could go ahead, we do have a motion, but I haven't asked for the second just yet. If I can open it up for a little bit larger conversation. Part of our process has been to send our department heads out the email and ask them to remind their employees. Our benefits has no control over that. I've asked our IT director, and he's going to speak to us in a moment about how we can fix that going forward by creating an insurance all grouping, and we will be assured then that everyone has received that. So I'd like to tell you that. So does that change your view?
No, that doesn't, because they got me. So, and they know they've been here. I'm with him, this is a new person, new to the situation. However, they have peers, and there's a caveat, they do have peers unless they're working in a little silo and they don't talk to anybody. Somebody in the department would have been maybe talking about, but we don't know. I can't.
One of our exceptions herself went and had her wellness exam, but her husband didn't.
So is the exception for the spouse?
In that case, it would be. They're not the new employee, but one of our exceptions that have been requested was for the employee went for the wellness exam and the spouse did not.
Well, that's still an adult.
I agree with you. I just wanted to add, it supports your case.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to give an exception to the new employee.
If I may suggest,
Yes, sir.
if you're going to establish an exception, that you add calendar date capture within that motion,
Excellent.
like within the first year of any hire, and just whatever your language would be, but right now you're just saying any new hire. Well, when does that wear off? And you really need
Yeah.
Yes.
solid parameters around that exception.
The motion maker.
So I'll redirect mine.
Let's find out how long was she on the job?
She was hired in February.
February.
She notified me that she had missed the HRA 2 weeks after the end of it.
When was that due? When was that due?
It was due the end of September.
So she notified you in October.
Yes.
Let me do it this way.
Let's start all over with the motion. We'll withdraw and start again.
Okay, so my motion is to give a variance to the one new person, new hire, and that the new hire within, moving forward, within the next, well, I can't make people do things, but within 6 months of their hire, I guess.
It's already been 6 months.
Yeah, that was 8 months.
And we're going to have a cure in a minute.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So give this person 30 days to complete this now. That variance would be within 30 days. They have to finish it. Otherwise, they fall within the other 49. Is that jumbling?
If you'd like to withdraw, I'll withdraw.
I'll withdraw and let Terry do it.
So I'll make a motion that if we have a new employee in the last 12 months that were unfamiliar with our dates for the HRA screening, that we give them an exception for the month of October past the deadline. And we will,
We're into November though.
but she notified us in October.
Oh,
Who will determine whether they had knowledge or not?
We're going to assume in this motion that that employee did not, as our assistant law director said, our prior employees are all aware of the system, but the new employee didn't. And we're going to have maybe if we just hear our cure, I think that might help us. If we could suspend all this back and forth that we've been suspending anyways, so I could ask the IT director to come forward and see if we can have a fix going forward for this issue.
I motion to suspend.
So,
Mr. Tuttle,
Yes.
could you tell us if you could create one email for all that would go out to all our insured employees so that we could be assured that everyone received their notifications?
Absolutely, but that is dependent upon the department head and elected official to give us the information and keep us updated with new employees and people who are leaving.
This is a common HR request. So we would make a motion that every department head provide an email address for their employees. My motion is that department heads must provide an email address to their employees and provide that to IT and make sure it's current. IT will then establish an insurance all group in which our benefits can send out these notifications, and there will be no question to who received and who did not receive.
That's correct.
And we would ask for that to be completed by, would the end of March give you enough time?
Plenty, yes, ma'am. It'd take us a while to build this group, but as long as they are providing that for us, our turnaround, we can generally do it within a week, given the amount that's going to be coming in to us.
So I would make it that department heads get the emails in and our IT builds this
Correct.
group by the
Still
end of
does.
March.
I motion to second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I have to vote no on that. I just think it should be all or none.
What do you mean?
I mean, exceptions.
Oh, no, this was the vote was for him to build us a group for the future, an insurance group. This vote was totally
So totally separate.
separate. He's gonna build us
All
an
right, well, I'm
insurance group
for
so
that.
that going forward, we don't have this issue.
I thought this was making an exception.
Yes, no, this one is, so let me retake the vote. All in favor of IT building us an insurance all group and all department heads submitting current and maintaining current emails for their employees. That's my motion. So all in favor?
And it needs to be built by the end of March.
The end of March. And we have a second, and all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so going forward, we have an action to prevent this.
Okay.
Now, today we have in front of us, do we want to have an exception for, as the motion was, for the one new employee? Mr. Hyde, would you like to speak on why you think we should not?
Well, you have on one hand, no matter what their reasoning is, although they have some knowledge, you have veteran employees who serve the county that we're saying no to. And yet we're making an exception for someone who's brand new and did have knowledge because they got the information supposedly in February. They did say they got the information in February. It's just difficult for me to do that.
All right.
I see his point. I'll withdraw my motion and make a different.
That's fine, I'll withdraw also. All those motions are okay. Would you like to make a new?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to, we're not gonna make exceptions for 50 people. Is that right? Was it 50?
No, just a few, a lot.
Just a few.
No exceptions.
No exceptions, just do better next time.
Have a second?
So,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, there's that one. One-to-one, y'all have anything else y'all like for us to talk about y'all?
That's the takeaways.
Excellent. If y'all don't have any more questions for one-to-one, we could release them and they could get back to their clinic. We will have the item of the lamp pad and signature, but that's just going to be a matter of they've completed their paperwork. Unless you have any, I hope y'all don't have any more lab questions, but before I release them, that's all. Thank you, Robert.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank y'all for attending our meeting, but if you need to get back to work, we don't want to keep ESP?
All right, I've passed these out before because it's hard to maneuver around. So these are just a monthly snapshot of how the plan is performing. So for the month of October, it is showing everything was in the black, meaning that the income was greater than the expenses. Do want to, I always draw your attention at the bottom line. So if you look across, there's the health RX vision, and then the other one is the dental plan. The year-to-date income minus expenses, that's actually the number I like to pay most attention to because each month can change based on things happening, big surgeries, a baby in the NICU, things like that can immediately take money and make a month look negative, whereas your overall is still positive. So for October, everything was ending positively. We are tracking large losses. You have more on this list in the month of October than you typically have in the past. I will tell you that is pretty much every account right now. Everything, most of these are driven by specialty medications, medications that are quite expensive, hard to administer, and have special needs for storage. We have a couple that have to do with surgeries, and when someone ends up on this list because of a high-cost surgery, it's typically a one-time thing that typically will stabilize because if you have heart surgery and it's $150,000, it doesn't continue to be $150,000 over and over. But we definitely do have some expensive medications that are happening. But we still are not at a 500 mark, which is where we would remove money from your own stop loss fund. That fund right now is at around 1.4. for this, yeah, that's an ongoing fact. Reaches into previous years and includes this one. Now, I want to pay attention over to the PEPM chart, which is the bottom right, with all the lines. We are only a few months into the plan year, so we see that the PEPM is coming down for this year versus last year. However, again, you're early in the year, so we will continue to see how that pans out. We are looking for stability, and so for right now, yes, that is happening. You all had a question earlier, you were talking about the clinics, and I do want to draw your attention. I don't usually spend a whole lot of time there because one-to-one takes care of a lot. But that bottom lighter blue line, notice that that is very flat. It goes up and down just a bit year over year. And yes, that one actually does come down sometimes, which is not something you usually see in the healthcare industry, but that is a stable cost. And so I do want to implore that any discussion about the clinic, you all are an oddity in a good way, in that you are focusing on prevention and chronic care management. When we talk about using a, for lack of better terms, or a layman's term, a doc in a box, where we go to Kroger, Minute Clinic, to first road, that is a great thing to have, but it does nothing for your expensive bills. It does not help head off a heart attack or a stroke. It can in certain instances, but your HRAs are right now managed by your clinic. I don't care who administers your clinic, I just think that they are very important. And if you can continue to keep that cost stable, that is supporting that top, larger number in stability. So it's just really important to pay attention to. So I do get the clinic numbers, and I know how much they have costed over the years. Yes, sir.
Down there, it says health RX, I understand RX prescription. What is the health side?
Just health medical. So that's doctor cost. This is a claims cost, so it's including any medication.
So this is
It's
what it
including
costs.
all of it. That's it. That's your PEPM of anything that is coming through on a health RX. It should also say vision, because it does include vision. Vision is like, it's so small compared to your other costs, but it is there. So yeah, it's every claim. And this is just expenses, so it doesn't matter if you took in a lot of premium or employee contribution, it is not affected at all in this PEPM number. This is just expenses. So that's the number we want to make stable. And that helps finance, plan, and keep things healthy. So, any questions about that?
I would just like to say my earlier comment about some counties have closed their clinics was in no indication that I want to close my clinics. And I don't want anybody calling me because I don't want to close clinics. I was just revealing that fact.
I do think it is important to look at clinic costs. I do have some groups that have clinics and they're not using them wisely. I feel like you all do use it wisely. I think those comparisons of costs of drugs. They didn't talk about, but I know they have their SaferX program. You can get medications through them. I actually pull RX costs that go through your actual health plan. They compare that to how they're buying them to make sure they're only offering medications that are at a savings to you all through that program. Meaning, I don't know, a Z-Pack, that's a terrible example because you don't have chronic care, but if you can get a Z-Pack cheaper through their AS Meds offering, they will offer it. If it is more expensive to get it through the SaveRx, they don't offer it anymore. They take it off their list. And they do that every 6 months to a year. So I am giving you that information for that analysis. That has nothing to do with rabies shot, that's totally something separate. But we are trying to keep an eye on what we can control, we want to control. The rest is things are gonna happen, but we want to control what we can.
I do agree with you because I have worked in, as you all call them, talking about, they're really not talking about.
I know they're not.
But we don't, in my tenure, and then we focus on emergent care and, you're coming with your blood pressure, about to blow up your head. We're not primary care providers in those facilities, so they're temporary, and most of them will say you need to get a primary care doctor. So yeah, they're not a good idea for this type of program.
Yeah. So, any other questions?
Question.
Mr. Mike?
I'm assuming that what I'm seeing here is let's say on the health side, that this represents this year, right?
Yes, so are you talking about this chart or up at the top? Okay, at the top, yes, we are just looking at, so this is month, this is just October. This would be the plan year today.
And this is where we are today within the funds of this year.
Right.
What kind of reserve fund do we have?
So I don't keep up with the reserves, I know finance does. I can speak to the fact that in these numbers of expenses, I get what it would cost for you all to buy stop loss insurance with Blue Cross every year, and we did that before David left. We got a new rate, and I actually, in my numbers, am putting aside that amount. And we, so far, this year plus the previous years, it should be about 1.4, but that is not even the reserve, that is your own stop loss fund, so there's probably even more in reserve.
Well, my question is, I think is pretty important because, and I'd like to ask Bethany if she could maybe have that for us each month.
Yes,
Because
we have that, Mr. Hyde. Are you prepared to speak on it right now? Can you tell me?
Yeah, so this.
It's in your package.
where is it?
Would you like them on page 12?
Starts on page 5. So this is all the funds, it's, got the health, the dental, and the casualty. These amounts were the fund balance amounts are as of the end of fiscal year 25, that's taken into account revenues and expenditures for the current year. So looking at the health fund, the reserve as of the end of June was just over 18.5 million.
And is that on page 5? Because I don't see
It's
that.
on the first page of the financials.
So,
I just want to break into that exact line.
put one there. I think that's,
Where it shows restricted for general government.
I think we're on a different page.
Is it the balance sheet?
Yes.
Balance sheet.
For 5201.
512? Yeah, 788.
It's 18, I just want to make sure it's on the.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which one's the 18? No, it's on the one. Oh, right here, I see. So, it's here.
I know.
To me, that's as important or more important than what we're looking at here.
Yes.
Because I think with Mary having been in health as long as she has, if you look at $500,000 here and you have $1 million in reserve versus 18 million, you need to make a lot of different decisions than you normally would because if you don't have a nice reserve in healthcare, it can disappear very, very quickly.
I feel like it's healthy.
That 18.5, that was for the, just for the health. The dental fund is just about for 1.5 million.
Okay.
And then casualty is 5.7. And all of those amounts.
We had a detailed review to the financials about 3 or 4 months ago. We could do that again, maybe in February.
Might not be a bad idea.
We'll just a more detailed review again in February. And we'll talk through it and walk everybody through it again. Ms. Janelle would like to request the balance sheet 101 class through the insurance fund.
I do know counting of the things. I could, on I can't see these numbers real good because they're so little.
Bigger print.
Thank you. I need a magnet.
We can turn it sideways. Yeah. Sorry, I will do the landscape next
And
time.
then, if I could touch back on one of the things you saying, that you said that you work with one-to-one and you keep your eye on that. A lot of times I have questions about what does ESP do for the money we pay them? So I'd like to ask you, how much time do you spend working on our healthcare numbers with one-to-one and looking at our drug costs and monitoring it?
So that is more on their end. I requested information from Blue Cross regarding the claims data, because they hold all of the claims data. So specifically about that, it is probably not a whole lot. That is a much smaller piece.
Piece of what you're looking at, but you do
Yes.
work on looking and monitoring us.
And any of the, yes, and any other tasks that need to be done that are specialized for y'all. And any questions that come up with any.
So we do utilize, yes.
Yes.
It's just a question that has come up in general, and I just wanted to address it a little bit, just a little bit. Do you have anything else you'd like to report?
I do.
From the legal side, did we get the ESP contract? Where are we with that?
Is it for benefits or
For your contract with ESP?
Okay, the ESP contract, I don't have.
Are we still working on that with legal?
So that one, I think, that is actually for the risk section. That's separate from
Separate from
this.
this, got it. Okay.
So I did provide both of these copies.
Okay. Awesome. All right, anything else? Excellent. Old business. The first item is update on risk mitigation plan. As we had touched on earlier, we're still looking to try and get a global idea of where our risk may be. I know, for today, we did ask for a list of all of our, I've asked that, Ms. White provide us a list of all of our insurance policies. These insurance policies, we will be reviewing again come, mid-year. We also, have outstanding discussion to be made on, how we're going to proceed with that. But we don't want that to come upon us too quickly without reviewing these. So what would this committee like to do in order to review these? I know in the past we've been provided with copies of them. In the past, we've asked for it to go out to bid, and we got one broker that went out and bid all our contracts. So we really didn't look at the market, we just got one. We have options of Mr. Sheep, maybe you can help me with the wording of picking a broker for the county. What is that called specifically? Broker of record, which we have not done in the past. I believe Rutherford County has a broker of record. We also have the option of going with the state. So, this committee, we need to take some direction. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like you to explain broker record.
So essentially, currently, if you just bid, let's just say you bid your property casualty program, your buildings, your, all that stuff, that's not health insurance. You go out and then all the brokers who want to get on it and start contacting their people. And then, so in health insurance, Blue Cross will give a quote to anybody who shows up with a license and, can present a quote. So that's why you can get 3 Blue Cross quotes from different brokers. The property and casualty world, they do not do that. The first person or the broker, or if I'm being honest, probably the one with the best business relationship with the carrier is going to get the quote. So once that quote has been given to a broker, no other broker can get a quote. So I have to give you that context and then explain. So a broker of record, instead of bidding the insurance, where brokers scramble and whoever's lucky to get first, you just bid for the broker. You just say, what do you do? How much do you cost? Can you do all this stuff? Reviews, you search, all that stuff. And then you just say, okay, you are our broker of record. Only you are like able to go search the market for us and go broker for us through your broker. So that's what that is.
That's similar to what we had, that I sat through a meeting where we did 2 people show up to show what they could do as a, like, familiar.
But they were not a broker of record.
They were not,
They were the first ones to market.
So would this effectively stop what happened to us a year ago?
You're
I
not
don't know what
going to
happens.
stop it, but it's just, it helps mitigate the process. You might get a broker that doesn't have access to something else, but if they don't have access to, like, say, some other pool or program you wanted to look at, we would just go with them, like, give us a quote. And if they didn't have access to it, it's a broker of record, yeah, they want it, but you can also just.
Well, then we desperately need to do that because we had everything yanked out from under us last year by the people that we let go.
So with the broker of record, my legal question would be, is that a professional service or is that a item we would have to bid?
This, the issue for professional services, there's some sort of standards in the trade, et cetera.
I believe a broker would have a professional standard and certification.
So, yeah, I'm glad for me.
I'm just gonna add to that, a broker may not actually have formal standards, but if they belong to certain associations or whatever within their industry, they must abide by standards.
In that respect, yeah.
And so what you would add, one of the questions you would ask in looking at brokers, what associations, professional associations do you belong to? And that we could tell.
It's like ethical requirements.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
we know who the larger associations are, credible, we don't want South National Association of Brokers. We want national and possibly international associations that they belong to, because they can't be a member of that unless they pledge to subscribe to the standards set by that association of all members. So that's how you it's not infallible, but it's a credible way to look. If you're looking at different brokers, it's a credible way to evaluate that.
To answer your question specifically, the state legislature last year, I don't know, it's been 2 years, somehow got a thing through that designates insurance brokers on the, I forget the word they use, but the same professional status as a lawyer or an accountant.
I believe I saw something, but I forgot.
Right, so as far as it being a professional service, according to my understanding, again, I would recommend you look into that further to get the actual legal opinion, but yes, they are a professional service.
They changed that law to get around requiring the bid process.
It doesn't mean you can't bid them, it just means you don't have to.
Who would recommend to us a broker?
We would just go out and like, hey, everybody who wants to be a broker from Sumner County.
And they would come in and present in an open meeting unabashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's your purchasing department probably has some definitions around it, but there's an RFQ, typically a request for qualifications. And then you can ask some general questions, and then based on that, you can maybe come up with a few finalists that you felt comfortable with, and they can come in and do presentations. That's how that often will happen. With the RFQ, it's not quite as, I
feel like an or a bid is very much like Excel. It's black and white, ones and zeros. It's very straightforward. RFP gives you some discussion, but an RFQ is much more open.
And who would draw that up?
We can.
I would like to make a motion, Madam Chairman, that we proceed with what is necessary to hire a broker of record, because it's my understanding, and I may be entirely wrong about this, that last year someone went out to the market and did our insurance, and we didn't have any choices.
I think it's your current broker just shopped.
So, if that's your motion, I'd like to make an amendment to that.
Can you repeat his motion, please?
Yes, Mr. Hyde's motion, if I may, would you like to repeat it louder? She couldn't hear.
Just that we proceed with whatever is necessary to hire a broker of record for Sumner County.
So Mr. Hyde's motion is that we are going to go with the broker of record.
I have that statute here, that we were just talking about. This is from 2020. I don't have my rest on here, so this is 2024. It says contracts for legal services, auditing services by public accountants, and similar services by professional persons or groups of high ethical standards shall not be based upon competitive bids, but shall be awarded on the basis of recognized competence and integrity. This is from 2024, so it could have been updated since then.
No, I think that's probably correct. That was the high ethical standards, is the phrase I could remember.
Yeah.
So we have a motion, a second, and a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? I would like to make a motion that we request for finance to put out an RFQ in the next 30 days.
I need to, so for
I want
timing on that, they're gonna wanna start working on your actual coverage probably in February, March.
that's what I want
So
to
we
do.
wanna
I
get
would
it
like
done.
for the December meeting RFQ to be prepared and after the work. Is that possible before I make the motion?
I was gonna say, I start collecting that in January.
So my motion is that we get that RFQ out the door before our next meeting, if it is not possible. So that would be my motion. If I could get a second, that the finance will get the RFQ out the door.
We can help you with the language, it's not, this is nowhere near as difficult as an RFP, it's just, want to ask the right questions.
And I think it's going to be important for you all to coordinate with the expertise that they
By
have.
using ESP for a template.
I'll second you.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion's unanimous.
Is this committee going to give the specifications and stipulations, what we're looking for in the sections, or
We've got,
We pay them to be our professionals. I have not even put in.
we've done this before, so I'll just pull out the old document and then make sure there's no like something from 2017 in there or something, and just make sure it's up to date, and then give it to them to review.
Could you clarify that? When you said we've done that before, you mean Sumner County has done?
No, we've done this process with other people. We did it with Rutherford County, and it wasn't good. They talked about it.
With the idea of reviewing that, if we could circle back to the earlier discussion about the one-to-one contract and that we might need to have 2 dates, we could have them bring us a draft of the RFQ. It sounds like we're gonna need two insurance meetings in December to get through the one-to-one contract in case they don't bring us back what we need and with the timing. So with that in mind, we could go ahead and look at an earlier date in December in which they could give us a draft of their RFQ before we approve it. If that would, how soon could we get a draft?
When is the meeting?
Well, we're gonna do put flexibility in that for one-to-one to get us their contract answer. And that would still give us, I mean, we're buttoned up on Christmas. So we need to have it that first week in December for one-to-one's contract in case we're gonna need to have a second meeting, which would have to be right on top of it to make that December 31st day.
To get it, in the newspaper, we have to have it to them by 10 a.m. on a Tuesday for it to be in the paper on Thursday. So if you need that first week, then we'll be in the paper on the 11th.
Can we meet on that Monday? Is the Monday the first?
Yeah.
That's a tight turnaround.
You can get on our side. Thanksgiving.
I don't think that's like,
Yeah.
we need to put these on
Thursday.
Thursday.
Thursday's Thanksgiving, so we publish Thanksgiving.
So we need to get the newspaper, yeah. So that's what we need to do is December 1st.
So if you get in the paper with, what, by Tuesday at 10?
The second we get it in the paper. How long would we put the RFQ out for?
Building
It's-
insurance uses 30 to 45 days. It won't take that long, but you also don't want to give them like a week.
We have Christmas, though, we're getting Christmas.
Yeah, we're probably looking at January.
So do you understand my question? Once we hits the paper and we have the RFQ out, it's Christmas. We want as many people to respond as possible to our RFQ. So we're gonna get it out in the paper December 2nd, hopefully,
But it won't be in the actual paper till Thursday.
till Thursday.
Yeah.
So that's when the RFQ will be open. Then do we say you have to respond to it? We'll close down our RFQ process or we'll leave it open-ended? Anyone that responds before January,
You just put a due date on it.
the due date of, so they have to respond to us by January.
They're similar to the bid.
I'm just saying with Christmas in there.
We're gonna have it open for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
You wanna go with January 15th or? That's it. No, it's Thursday.
No other.
Before the January meeting. We want answers before the January meeting.
Well, if it's open on January 15th, when is the January meeting? Because it'll take
We'll make
probably
it-
a week, so.
Like the third week in January? How's that look?
Well, you said the second is a Tuesday, December 2nd, Tuesday.
Yes.
So then it would be December 4th, at least. So if you return it on January 4th, 20th. Or December 6th as the opening.
But see, they're gathering.
Meeting a couple of weeks later, so we've done fully.
Probably just need to prepare that bed, she'll have to.
Yeah, exactly.
She'll have to, Mindy will have to, or not Mindy, but their group will have to do the opening trial. And then,
Have it ready?
If we open it soon enough in January, we would be able to turn that around for a meeting on the 20th.
Yeah.
So as far as like opening it soon enough, we're talking about January, somewhere in the week of January 5th.
yeah, and
Let's let people get over their New Year's moment and go for, the RFQ, deadline of January 8th. I'm just arbitrarily picking between the 7th and the 8th, and then if anybody has a. I like the 8th.
Let's get our dates in mind, because you're all over the place.
So our meeting in December is the 1st.
We'll meet on December 1st. Does the 10 o'clock like we met today work for? It's a a Monday, so that's, everybody's schedule is different.
I'll make my life different than. What do you want to do?
Well, it's, if the time is available. Would 9 work better for your work schedule? Mr. Hyde, can you get up early and come at 9 a.m.?
It'll be tough.
Finance, does that time work for you? 9 a.m. December the 1st.
Yes.
All right, so to walk through this, we will meet on December the 1st at 9 a.m. And one item on the agenda will be the RFQ submission that we're going to be proposing, that we've already voted on. We will also, for the agenda on that day, look at the one-to-one contract, if you could notify them of the date.
This will be a special call.
That's what I was gonna say.
Did we already send them?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do it,
We might need to, so the second one will be a special call. If this falls through, or if the one-to-one contract falls through, we'll need to have time to have a special, a next one. Does that make sense? I'm just saying it out loud to help me and see if that makes sense.
Okay, so I mean, you guys, you have regular meeting times?
This is our usual.
Like
This
this
is
is, okay.
Yeah.
It's usually the Tuesday after
Yes,
commission.
But you're gonna have your regular meeting.
No, this-
scheduled first.
Yeah.
16th of December will be a regular meeting.
Okay, but we're scheduling that.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be the same, you're scheduled to do the first.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're canceling the 16th.
We're scheduling it for the first.
We're going to reschedule it to the 1st, and then if we need to meet to make the one-to-one contract happen because it's expiring December 31st, or if we need to touch this up, we'll have enough time to get it through before the end of the year. We might,
Just keep the.
we'll revisit that. Then we ask that the RFQ goes out, and then we're planning on meeting with a deadline of January 8th. I'll make the motion that the RFQ has a deadline of January 8th.
And you all don't have to be there for that.
We don't have to be there. This is clearly finances.
On December the 8th.
January 8th, sorry.
Is the actual opening.
After they open the RFQ, ESP needs time to analyze the material for us. And they say they can get back to us on that third week that begins on the 19th. So the 20th would be our regular January meeting. Everybody could, is 10 o'clock still okay for everybody, or do you want to move to
I'm fine, it's just Mondays is bad day.
All right, so we'll,
Clean your life around my stuff.
that's fine. So, that's fine. So in January, we will plan on meeting January 20th at 10 a.m. And we'll have on the agenda the RFQ information, and we'll make a decision from there.
You may want to have interviews with these people.
Prior to or after. We'll make a decision on January 20th before we go from there. Ms. Floppy, does that give you enough time? You're gathering information, so you are a data point. So you'll still be gathering whatever. When you usually gather in January, what do you do with it?
Well, it takes a while. That's when I start sending out the requests to update their property schedules, contact values, and vehicles, and
That's the county
that's when I
information
start
here.
sending out the requests.
So this does not
Yeah,
affect you at
it's
all?
not gonna affect it, no.
Yeah,
Okay.
just manage the person to get to at the end of the day.
Okay. Yeah, but unmuddied it.
I'm good.
All right, excellent. Sorry about that. So, the only other thing I have to talk about were the insurance policies. We never received the new copies, I don't believe, after last year's bids and stuff. We had the prior years to look at.
The actual policy.
Yeah, I'm wondering who reviews the policies. Like, okay, let's say that on our list here, and I'm looking at this list, I assume that EMS or EMA coverage, I do know that Mr. Weiner looks at those policies and they are what he wants. Mr. Weiner and I have discussed that in depth, I know that. But like for let's say the crime policy, is that reviewed by the sheriff's office? Okay, tell me what it's for.
That's for like money is moved in appropriately, it would be more.
Oh, that's, okay, so with the finance, do you review that policy?
It's relatively small.
So I'm just, my question in general is, I'd like to know who makes sure that these policies are what they need? Like cyber policy, is that what Mr. Tuttle in IT has signed off on he needs? And is he aware of it? Or, and not him specifically, just all the way down the line, like, is there somebody in our county that looks to say, well, this pollution liability insurance is not enough because we have such and such going on? Is there a department head that tells us that this is the policy coverage we need, or is this just something we throw in the dark at?
No, we send out applications, we fill out applications, and we tell them what we want. And when they bring back the policy, it's supposed to cover what we want.
Okay, that's what we know, is the we. Is the we,
Well,
who's the,
me.
huh?
I fill out the applications with, I mean, they're reviewed, the applications are reviewed, I just fill them in.
So who does like the pollution liability?
It's just a policy that's attached to our, it's a premium that's attached to our, property policy. It's kind of like a layer of it.
Like a template or boiler?
Planning codes, look at it, approve.
No, I mean, it's just an application that we fill out. And submit, tell them that we were told we needed that, so that's when we started the pollution policy.
This is where the brokers should step in.
I mean, the broker.
I just don't
Yeah.
understand, so. So, the deadly weapons policy. So is that the sheriff's office? Is that who uses is that the?
No, it covers the whole policy. Any event that would happen at any of our locations, that policy could cover any, it's like when a shooter comes into a building and causes havoc. And that policy would go into effect at that point.
Okay,
Those are,
Kind of like an active
these
terrorism.
are all broker kind of things.
yeah,
like
they're based on what's
they're
actually.
like our risk mitigation.
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna take, like, when she fills out the policies, it's gonna have revenues and number of people that can be affected and all that other stuff, and your broker, because they're connected to the market, should be able to then take that information that, okay, well, this is about what other people that I have, like you were doing, and that's what they should be, that's where they should be earning their money.
Is this like rider policy? Or rider?
Now, these are all individual policies.
Yeah.
I mean, they may have riders in them,
It's like an actuary kind of thing, it's kind of, you get a certain number of people here and a certain number of buildings.
yeah, that's what an
It's like an
underwriter,
actuary process.
the underwriter would
Yeah.
step in and like do all their magic.
I'm like Terry though, who decides that we need, say, pollution? I mean, where did this come from? Bob?
I don't, I'm sorry.
We have underground tanks and things like that, and one of them were to bust, it would cause pollution.
That's what,
We have underground tanks, say for instance, in our highway department's the gas tanks. One of them were to leak and cause a pollution event. We would have to clean it up, and this policy would help us with the cost of cleaning something like that up.
That makes
That's just
sense.
kind of an
So it's
example.
on your questionnaire and it says, do you have underground tanks at some
Yes.
point? And you check that. And
Yes.
then that triggers,
Yes. So that's just an example, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, that's what it would be for.
The insurance company knows they've done it before. before, so they're like, okay, this
That
is
makes
what that
more
costs roughly, so.
Oh, sorry.
Through the years, we have been all the times to review those policies. One of the boring things we do is we read insurance policies, strange as that sounds. And we do a lot of it, and that's what you hire us for, is to say, I don't understand this, or could you explain the difference between these two? Or somebody brought up this, how does that apply, or does it really need for that? We're a back office insurance department. I've often described what we do as that. So it just takes a phone call, or we can come up here and sit down with the department head and say, tell me more about these tanks. What do you keep in them? Have they been filled up? Are they filled with sand? If you clear this with the state, is you have a certificate on them, but there's mountains of, y'all know you're in government, there are mountains of regulations and everything else. And you've got to get an insurance policy that moves its way into that regulation and catches things, okay? And department heads should not be expected to understand an insurance policy. That's not what they do. So you call in somebody who does that for a living, and that's what we do. So
Is that a conversation that you have ongoing with our current broker?
Yeah, I mean,
And so if they were here, we could ask them what are in these policies.
yeah.
The board is inland marine policy, that sounds like.
It's also known as mobile equipment. It's an old ancient insurance term because they used to put everything on boats. And so then when you have marine policy for if you're shipping something on a boat, once it gets to land, it's not on a boat anymore. So then we call it inland marine policy. And it's basically equipment. It's like bulldozers or laptops. It's like if this were a mobile thing where you just took around the county and made speeches with it, it would technically be inland marine. Because it's a piece of equipment that doesn't have a place where it's attached to something that's designed to move around. And it could be damaged here or on the other side of the county.
So I wouldn't mind,
a general way to look at it, if it doesn't have a license plate, it's probably in the marine. I mean, you can get in a bulldozer and go down the road, but that's not a truck. That needs to be, because you can load it on a truck and move, take it in. So like Jeremy's saying, it's, yeah, but that's a simple way that I've explained to people that are in insurance. They got a license plate on it, and we need to take a look at it. Because license plate is deal, it's on the auto insurance. So that's the best way.
And I guess a broad question I have, Chairman, is,
and just loud enough, Miss White's way back there, she can't hear too. Just loud.
the question I have is, we voted once before, I think, I believe I was the one that brought it up, that all insurance should be, done through the county insurance board. Is that in effect now? All insurance policies this county has is done through this board?
I take care of all the county's policies and EMA's policies. The only other one that I didn't even know existed was the EMS coverage that they have for, and it's basically for their medical malpractice. And I didn't know that one existed until just here recently.
So we can
That's
pull
the
the EMA
only-
in.
Under risk management.
So the only thing we have now is,
To my knowledge, I'll say to my knowledge, that I've found out.
So
well,
why-
that probably needs to be corrected because we have taken action on that.
Is there a reason that you don't manage EMS?
I didn't know it existed until recently.
Okay.
And that's that they had that policy since early 90s.
So since this board has voted for you report back to us in January? I make a motion that risk management will report back to us in January on the status of EMS moving into risk management with all the rest as we put it in the past.
It's BFIS, both of them, but the EMA and the EMS are both through BFIS.
All in favor?
So that's
Aye.
one broker,
Any
that's
opposed?
the Steve Ross agency, I think. There's like one broker that handles all of those, that company's policy in this area.
Yes.
Okay. That should be complicated. One point of contact.
And I want to just clarify, and I'm sorry about time constraints, I know some people need to leave. I want to clarify, I was interested in the whole inland marine policy, and like, I understand that department heads shouldn't be familiar, but how often do we use that? I would imagine that would be like equipment like our mowers and highway. Well, we probably have a limit on how much it would be, like an item. Can you speak to that policy? Like, does an item need to be like $1,000 to be an item? Or how often do we see these kind of items? And then my follow-up thought in that is, do these department heads even know we have a policy?
Yes.
So they know, and they're posting claims to it.
Yes.
And do you have, I mean, I know I'm just asking you this and you don't have your documents, but is there a limit on how much that would be? Like, is a claim, and it says contractors equipment.
Yeah, and most of that policy is the highway department's.
Right.
Most of it, we've got a few things scattered.
So is it like, I don't know.
I mean, they've got everything on there from bush hogs to, rollers, where they make the paving.
And they use their policy.
To tractors, I mean, they've got, yes.
Sheriff's Department have their radios on, that's another thing that's technically in the marine.
Yeah,
Do we have all the radios on it? Because we have all of them.
yeah.
So do we have the radios for like, I know last night we saw here, the volunteer fire department talking about their radios not working, but I don't understand that, but I know that their radios are also our radios. So if the, I mean, we pay and we've given them our radios and they're on our towers, so are they under our policy?
If they're all under our towers, then they're on our towers. They will be included in the information.
Mr. Schiffman?
You brought up value, which is a good question. That is determined by your deductible.
Right, that's the question
So
that I
I
want.
don't have your policy from me, so I don't
So we
know
don't.
what these are. But it's not relevant, but it's relevant to this point that you say, okay, what are we going to self-insure? Because that's what a deductible is. You're saying if we have that loss, we'll pay that. So radios may fall below,
Below
as
the
an
item.
example. So, yeah.
Do we claim
but you
radios?
turn a claim, then you're not going to get it.
Do you see claims on radios? So it may be below our deductible.
I mean, I'm thinking the deductible on that,
5,000,
5,000.
something like
I'm
that.
pretty sure it's about 5,000.
It's like some massive event that broke a lot of them at once.
Because we had a tractor that broke up last year, and they paid out on that.
Is that like when they ran over the drones, but that was under the VFIS?
Yeah. Their deductible's less, the BFI's deductible's less.
Yeah, it's much less. It's like 200 or something.
Yeah, 200 maybe.
Okay, so we took a vote on EMS is gonna move over to you, and we passed that. Anyone else on questions on this? I think we're just getting into this one more time. We're circling through what our insurance looks like. Everybody needs to bear in mind that we have to get this done before mid-year, because our contracts will expire in June 30th.
Yeah, the new policy goes into effect July 1 every year.
So we'll move on if there's no more questions on that. The next item is tourism location insurance and lease. Ms. Janelle, are you still on the tourism board? I don't know if you're prepared to speak on this item. I know I spoke to Mr. Zipper on it.
Yes.
The concerns was with the tourism lease, is we used to have a lease, and it had insurance requirements in it. And we subleased it to tourism, the building. And your tourism, our sublease to you included a requirement that tourism would carry, I'm just going out, it was $2 million. However, yeah, I think that's the point I'm bringing you in. However, when we release that property, we feel like we're out of the insurance requirement because our county lease ended when we handed that property back to them. And you could, if you could speak to that.
We had a lease with them, back in 2014, I believe, with, Rogers Group initially. And then we acquired that whole entire property, including the barn, the house, and all that. And, in the law, we have a merger of two interests. We own the property, we have leasehold interest, and merged into the key interest. So the lease is, basically gone in effect. Then we keep the property back, we claim it back to Rogers Group. So basically, we have no property interest in the, Comer House.
And this item is on here because I would like to touch up so that we could go ahead and acknowledge that and know that the county has no more obligation for insurance on that property or liability.
Right, and I have a question, I'm glad you brought that up, it's going to be today anyway, tourism is being this afternoon. But I went over there and, like, they're not fixing development, like, they're speaking, Rogers is not doing anything, they want tourism to do it. So I
understand.
I'm trying to, my question is, does tourism have a insurance on it?
That's the tourism.
Yeah.
And Ms. White's going to speak to you in just a moment because I believe we're still carrying insurance on the furnishings.
Yes, at one point we were told that part of the contents were ours, so we have $50,000 worth of content value at the house on each building.
So if you could, today, in the past, we had insured $50,000 on the insurance and contents because we were told the county owned it. If you could clarify that during your tourism meeting, I don't think we're going to arm wrestle. You clarified it?
With the director, and he said none of it is the county's.
None of it's the county's. So,
He said 0% of it was the county's.
Well, there's not a whole lot in there, I can tell you that.
I can tell you that too, I've seen it.
I would suggest if you want this in the minutes, that you just determine the county has no insurable interest in the property.
Excellent. My motion is that we are acknowledging that the county has no insurable interest in the Comer property. We are out of that. We have no lease, we have no property rights. And what the nonprofit tourism board does is nothing to do with me. And that's my motion. We'll second it to approve. All in favor of that? Aye. Anything from legal? Is that fine with you? Thank you. Ms. White, can you ensure that that's removed from? And Ms. Janelle, you'll make sure tourism knows that we're no longer interested in their insurance. So under new business, we've covered the HRA, we've covered the rabies vaccine. For the route ban signature, benefits has for us, that they have one employee that has completed the requirements that was in the group that we've discussed in the past, and they have completed the requirements and they're ready for this board to sign off on them to move forward with their surgery. Any questions?
I don't have any because they're working with their physician and all that and the surgeon, so I don't see.
So after the meeting, I'll be glad to sign your document. And then we move to the payment law for claims due October.
The Board of Education, are those the bold?
Those are the all. explain to all of us how that works. This is your report, Ms. White. Do you have any items on here that you'd like to bring specifically to our attention?
Specific questions, I can try to answer them.
So they are dated through here in June, starting on page 17, July, followed by. These are ongoing. Maybe, Ms. White, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Brown was asking if these were annual, and I was just saying these are ongoing. For instance, if an employee, in September, due to a workers' comp needed I'm just making up something, Ms. White, if you can help me if I get it wrong. Let's say they fell down on the job, they injured their back and they have back pain. We'll be paying for their prescription monthly on an ongoing basis until the issue is resolved. Did I get that correct? And that's what you see, some of these are the RX, and you'll see the office visit. In the same example I gave you, that employee may be going back for more care. Do we send these employees to, I assume we send them to whoever they need to go to, but can some of their care, any of their care go through number one?
No, we've had trouble, we tried that when we first started with the urgent care or with the on-site clinics. They were having a problem keeping their personal health information separate from their occupational injury. So it really didn't work. We didn't need access to their personal health. So we just felt like we didn't have violations kind of thing. So we used an urgent care clinic.
Where would they get the violation at?
Well, I mean, I didn't need to know their personal health history, and it was getting combined with.
So they were sending you to employees'
Yeah, they
personal
didn't have
health?
a way to separate that reporting wise, or health record wise. So we just, it was too confusing. Like, we would send someone over for an ankle injury, and they would also go over, medication refills and things like that.
She doesn't have a need to know on the health side of it.
Yeah.
So legally, they can't let her see, they can be in violation of the clinic itself.
Is it hard for the clinic to
Separate it, well, you're mostly interested in the monetary value of it.
Well, I was interested in work injury. I wasn't interested, I mean, I didn't need to know that person.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things in there, like, there's a lot of things that will identify.
Is it difficult to ask one-to-one to not send over the sensitive information that she doesn't need? I mean, she's saying that the problem was that they didn't need more.
That was with care here.
It was, so when you all first also had on-site clinics, it was a new thing, and now it's, been around for years and years. So, I mean, you could, if you want, you don't have to by any means, you could go to one-to-one. I'm sure they have an op health, that's what they usually refer to it as occupational health. They might be able to do it now. It was a different group, you had a different clinic group at that time. So they may have more experience as well with it. So you definitely could ask, and that would make sense. It wouldn't be an odd question to them at all. Typically, on-site clinic groups are better at that. So they wouldn't be sending the fact that someone's diabetic along with the fact that they fell on the job. You just need to know they fell on the job using the meds they're on. Because HIPAA would be broken otherwise. You only need to know. You only get what you need to know.
And of course, we have X-ray reports now.
Yeah.
But they can also do sutures and things like that, where we wouldn't have to go through the emergency room. I would have to find out if Carrie has that capability because we have people like this, that's in needs to use stitches or something.
You mean carrier, like?
No, one-to-one. Carrier used to be who you had a contract with. You're one-to-one now. Yeah.
What we've seen occur in the last few years is, all this goes back to what is called an EMR, electronic medical record. And back in the early days, that wasn't that sophisticated. They tried to fix it. But the way we see systems now, like when we're doing another OJI program right now for another entity, is that they do use that. But when a patient goes into the contact clinic, the first question they're asked is, does this have anything to do with your work? The answer to that question depends on which EMR they start entering that information in. The occupational EMR or their regular personal clinic EMR. There's a technical word for this in IT, but
It's like a firewall.
or whatever, they aren't connected anyway. So there's no chance that they would send her personal records. So it is possible to do, and there are other sister entities who are doing that.
Is there a way to look backwards to see if we can send, I mean, before us, we have what actually occurred. And I know that there's more data behind this. As far as like the prescription, we know it was whatever the prescription was. And we know what one-to-one would have costed out at. And we know what we paid out at the doctor's office. Is there any way to take this and say, if we had went to the clinic, this is what it would have cost us, an analysis?
I guess I could come up with a number of business costs.
Because to make a decision, we need to know we would have.
You're waiting at the, like, audit sources.
An audit sort of thing,
Wait, thing.
is an audit sort of bad. I'm just trying to decide who would make it wrong.
It's basically a reconciliation. You're looking at what cost would have been here versus what cost would have been here.
So that we can
It's
make a
comparison.
cost decision.
Right.
How would we do that? Can we do that? Can we hire that done? Can you do that, Ms. Browning? I cannot.
If you have the source data, that's the question. Do you actually have what it costs to visit plus the meds? And then you send that, and they can tell you how much that would have cost. They'd have to do it on today's
Numbers, that's
but
fine.
yeah.
Do you have that data?
I mean, I
Can you work with one-to-one to see? Can you work with one-to-one to see if you can reconcile what it would have cost for their clinic to have done? And maybe it could be that the ER visits themselves are not where we can save it, but we might save it through the prescription drugs. If we, it could be not the whole workers' comp, it could just be part of it that is gonna save, it could save a lot of money.
I mean,
It's worth a look.
how far back would you want me to hold that from?
It would depend on how time consuming it is. How about you start with a month and see what you get? What does the committee think? Commissioner Janone, I would lean into
I'm
you
looking,
mostly.
well,
Yeah.
I'm looking at Corbell. I mean, it's worth looking at. What is it what are we trying to resolve?
If we could save, like say, $15,000 a month with them getting their prescriptions at one-to-one rather than going to wherever else they're going to get their prescriptions.
Well, I think we already did, right?
Well, you do for regular health, not for
For workers' comp
Right, and
or for occupational.
before you go too far with that, you need to make sure your OJI plan document allows it. Because your OJI document
Demands some
determines where
things.
that patient is gonna go if they're hurt on the job.
We're still working on it, right?
Sorry.
We're still working on that.
Yeah, that's where I would start, because that has to mirror how the actual operation down
Right.
the road.
No,
So we'll table that and come back to it again in the future. We'll have to read the OJI policy this way to see if it dictates. It does not. It does not dictate. If you could work on one month analysis and just tell us if you
see if it's worth it, I don't know. All I'm trying to get at is we don't know until we know.
I get it, but he's right, because there is a part, like certain differences between, like when I did occupational therapy, when you're in the office, you don't bill the same. You know, it's totally different billing and totally different way you manage it and stuff, so.
So my question is just clearly, is it cheap, would it be cheaper to use our clinics than the process of
They have
it?
some capability to see that.
Yeah.
That's right now, like I have to see the light shoot on, you know, it'd have to be a walk-in situation, because I'll never know when they're gonna pop up. So a lot of times I don't have the capability to make an appointment. They're needing to go for treatment now.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things that you have to, that maybe require, like drug testing. And.
We can send them for drug testing.
I know. So there's certain things that you do when someone's injured that is required, like they want to do drug testing, they want to x-rays, they want certain, they're specifically based on what he's saying that you have to fall within that mandate. So I don't know.
Well, we
Sending
have
it
the
to one-on-one.
we have the x-ray machine now.
But the question is, do they have the people available 24 hours a day?
They wouldn't. I think when we've seen others do this, if the on-site clinic has the capability to handle all health and they have the right certifications and things that their medical staff have to have, and you set that up, anything, it would be when they're open. Because obviously your police could get bit by a dog in the middle of the night, and our clinic, this clinic's not gonna be, they have to go eat. So you don't always have that option. But if it could be added as an option for windows,
Majority of your work hours during the day.
yeah, it would majority.
All I'm asking is, you take a look at it.
The first question we need to find out is what is one-to-one capable of doing?
So my motion would be for risk management to come back and take a first stab at this and let us know what they find out based on our discussion. Can you do that, or do you need a motion? Okay. All right, I don't think that in the past we've approved the payment log, I'm not sure. No. That brings us to the end.
Do we have any outstanding motions that weren't voted on? I know you're going to go there. Just want to make sure before you all adjourn.
That completes our agenda, we're in adjournment. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that we went around.
no, it's a button, it's a mouse button. I'll get it. No, don't do that.